gay life, it's kind of hard to find someone in public or in everyday interactions to, flirt with or, find a match for, because society is very homophobic and masculinity is very toxic. So actually hitting on someone is very dangerous for us in the LGBTQ community in public, because people have their egos and people have their macho. So I use the gay apps to find people for me to have sex with. That's what I do. I use the gay apps to have sex with people. So I found this guy who was visiting Newark, and he said he visits Newark a lot, but not as much as he used to. And he was so cute, yeah, he was so cute. He's still cute. And he's a Capricorn, and he's a 95 baby like me, and it just so happens his day is 2 days before mine. And he's a gamer, and you guys know that I like to play games. And I went to go pick him up, and we went to GameStop in the Ironbound to pick up a couple games because he was low on games, and he asked me what kind of games I like to play on the Nintendo Switch, and he let me pick out a couple games to play, and we went back to the house and we started playing games. So he pulled out a bong, and I'm a weed head. I got excited, but we're in my room, and my mother has asthma, and she doesn't like us to smoke in the room anyway. So when he pulled out the bong, I said, "What's that? We can't do that." He said, "No, it's for tea." I said, "What's tea?" Not like what's tea, like gossip. I said, "What the fuck is tea?" Tea meaning crystal meth, also known as blowing clouds, also known as partying. He asked me if I ever tried it. I said no. So then he asked me what I would like to try it, and me being a people pleaser, I said yes, because I didn't want to disappoint him. I didn't want him to think I was like lame or someone that he couldn't hang out with anymore because I wasn't using the drug that he was using. So I said yes, I'll try it. But before doing that, I had to run down the things like, does it have a smell? What does it do to me? And what do I have to do to like get the high? So I did it. Yeah, he said, I asked would I get addicted to it. He didn't really give me an explanation to it. And he just said hydrate, because I need to hydrate off of it. And I did. I hydrated. I smoked it in my room for the first time ever, trying tea. I took a shower after we were playing video games. He fucked me. I tried to fuck him, but I couldn't because my dick went soft. That's a kind of like reaction, I guess, that some people get when you are using that kind of drug. And it did give me hypersexual. I was very horny, but my dick wouldn't get up. So also, it didn't stop there. I went and took him home. He lived all the way in like Little Ferry, but he was in the process of moving to Fort Lee. So that same day I was helping him move. And also that same day he met my aunt. And my aunt said, like, take care of my nephew. He's a good guy, and you look like a good guy too. But we were actually smoking meth in the car too. So while we were driving to Teaneck, we were passing the bong back and forth while smoking. I was on a high. I was playing like the song from Euphoria, because it was like, damn, I feel like Rue. Like, I'm doing drugs, I feel like Rue. And he wasn't the only person I just started doing drugs with. After him, when I couldn't find him or get in touch with him because his place was too far, I found somebody in Teaneck. Then I actually found somebody in Georgia King Village. And I started going to sex parties, and I started using other drugs. I tried crack for the first time, and that was the first and only time I did it. I tried G, which is a date rape drug, and I did that. I went to a lot of sex parties, and all of those things led up to me meeting some guy that became a regular with me to use drugs. So eventually my body started to change. I started to lose weight, and people started to notice because I became very animated, and I became very, not me. I'm not this way, but I'm that way, and I don't know. It wasn't sober Mufasa. It wasn't the weed smoking Mufasa. It wasn't the alcohol Mufasa. This was something different that people noticed. So it got to a point where I was having sex with multiple people in one night with this one guy that we would recruit people on the app to have sex with. And we would do that. And all this time, my mother or my father would be home, and I would bring multiple guys in to have sex with us, me and this boy. And he never wanted to do it at his house because he said that was his zen place or whatever. But he wouldn't mind me coming to my house to do it with him and having to smoke tea and buy it for him and do it at my house. And I wanted to people please him too. So I did it. And it got to a point where my mother is asking me if I'm high, and my mother actually found a baggie of crystal meth, and she asked me what it was, and I told her, and she instantly broke down crying. And I knew then that there was a problem, but I still couldn't stop because I was addicted to the rush of having that hypersexual libido, and I just didn't want it to stop because it felt like I was on a high like no other. And I never felt that with weed. I tried E-pills and I never felt that with E-pills. It kept me up for days at ends. I would crash, but then I would wake up wanting to do it again with this boy and look for other people to have sex with. And there was this one time my mother was actually sitting on the steps, and I came out the room to see my mother, and I was having a threesome with this boy and another guy that we met on the app. And I came out the room and she was like, I'm just waiting for you guys to finish. And I just went in the room and I said, well, we had to hurry up, we had to finish. And we took our time. We went out the room. I told you a half-assed apology. I told them to give a half-assed apology. We went right past her. I went back to the room and started searching for more people to have sex with. It eventually got back to my friends at the time, 2 other friends that I used to have. And one of the friends, that's my best friend. I love you, Kimmy. Thank you for helping me. And thank you for the other 2 that helped me too. I won't mention you. And it got back to Miss Kim, which is Kimmy's mother. And they had an intervention for me. And I broke down crying. And Miss Kim said, don't look at those tears. That's the tears of an addict. And it was the tears of an addict. Because if they consoled me right there and said it was okay, I would have thought it was okay to go back using. So that very day, my mother saw me crying when Miss Kim came out of the house. They said, he needs to go to a rehab. And I agreed. I was ready that day. I went to Beth Israel. And they couldn't treat crystal meth because crystal meth is known as a West Coast drug. It's not very known up here, but it's starting to get very popular up here within the gay community. Blowing clouds, tea, partying, all of those things are doing things that involve crystal meth. And they didn't have a program that could treat me. So then my aunt, who works at a rehab facility that's in Newark, who recommended me to go there, and I knew it was time. The next day after I got committed, after being discharged from Beth Israel, the next day I called a program called Elevate, and that's when my journey began. And I did it for Layla, my little cousin. I love you, Layla, because one of my favorite cousins, Kayla, got word that I was doing drugs, hard drugs like crystal meth. She instantly broke down crying, and I cried with her. She asked me, did I want to die? And I couldn't answer the question because actually I was still high at the time. And I don't remember the answer I gave her, but she told me, like, bro, you know, I just lost my daughter and you're going to kill yourself on this. And I thought about it a lot, but I was still getting high. And it wasn't until that day that I signed up for Elevate that I actually took my life seriously. So this is my explanation. This is my reason why. And this is how my journey began. Thank you all for getting me to 90 days. Thank you for myself for getting me to 90 days. Thank you to God for giving me 90 days. Thank you to my parents. Thank you to my family. Thank you to my supporters. Thank you to my friends. Thank you. I love you all. And I'll continue this journey on until I'm back in the arms of God's mercy and grace. I love you.